Let's start here with some curious facts. In 2022, slightly over 82% of librarians were women, and over 78% of library assistants and such were also female. With all the fluid gendering going around, those numbers might even be a little higher. Does anybody seem to care that there isn't much gender diversity in America's libraries? No. This gross disparity doesn't fit the political imperatives of our time. After all, males are, categorically, every single one of them, framed as patriarchal oppressors, are they not? So much, then, for the hypocritical secular sacraments of diversity and inclusion in a gender context. 82% of librarians are also white. This is an important point, as we'll see, in explaining what American Library Association leadership, selected as candidates by some kind of ideological screening committee and then determined by membership voting, has become. Hint: in recent years, white heterosexuals in American Library Association leadership are becoming extinct. As I'll explore here, what's called identity politics and politically correct virtue signaling dominate today's library world, and whites and heterosexuals are among their key enemies. Too much white supremacy around, don't you see? Consider, as I'll soon show you, the last 6 American Library Association presidents have been non-white or somewhere in the broadening homosexual orbit. Both anointed candidates for the upcoming 7th ALA presidential vote also fit that paradigm. With so many white, presumably heterosexual, women dominating the library world, how can this be? A leftist liberal political agenda dominates today's library environment, for one thing, but the prevalent ideology of ethnic and gender victimhood as a political tool and the phenomenon known as white guilt and its tributaries are key to fathom what the ALA has become in commandeering America's libraries and pushing far leftist guilt-ridden agendas.
White guilt is the terror of being seen as a racist, as a bigot, that now pervades American life. All our social policy, our culture, everything is touched by this anxiety in most of white America, understandably, given America's history, that they're vulnerable. They have this vulnerability to being disarmed of moral authority by being called a racist. I can use it as a weapon. I can say, I went on the Levin show. Let me tell you the way I was treated. And it explodes. So it constitutes, that is black power. White guilt is black power. They're virtually one and the same. And one of the big problems we have is that we talk about universities and political correctness and so forth. These are all ways in which white Americans say, I'm innocent. I don't feel this way. I'm not a bigot. I'm not a racist. I'm innocent. And their white guilt causes this drive to prove and establish innocence. And so then we have a whole generation of black leaders who do one thing and one thing only: milk white guilt.
We cannot afford, as a profession or an association, to leave our equity, diversity, and inclusion work to chance. Our members, staff, and the larger profession all need EDI training and continuous development. For far too long, this work has been shouldered by the passionate few, many of whom are in this room. If we all expect better in our communities, it's time to expect it across our association. It's up to all of us, especially us white people.
Candidates for the position of President of the American Library Association are anointed this honor by an entity called the Nominating Committee. Whatever else it is, it's an ideological screening group. Usually there are 2 candidates nominated. Let's start with the current ALA president, who has ruled with some notoriety, at least in politically conservative circles. Emily Dubinsky is a self-described lesbian Marxist with a stated advocacy that libraries should be propaganda staging grounds for a woke socialism. Her only nominated rival to the presidency was this guy, Kelvin Watson, who is black. The president-elect for next year is Cindy Hole. She's Native American, and here's how she played identity politics right off the bat in her opening statement at an ALA presidential candidate forum.
I'm going to introduce myself in Dakota. Hanutakiapi, Damakota Isan Teoete. Ichi Dakota, Lyle and Philomene Henry, Ina Janice Ate Robert, Anpetuwashte. Hello, I'm Cindy of the Santee Sioux Nation, granddaughter to Lyle and Philomene, daughter of Janice and Robert, and today is a good day.
What does such a heritage have to do with competency and character or leading a library organization? Nothing, of course. She knows she can garner points from some out there with the white guilt card staking her claim to the current sacraments of diversity and inclusion. Of course. The ALA lines up its potential presidents far in advance. The two individuals nominated to compete for this position for 2025 also fit the standard political paradigm. Sam Helmick identifies somewhere in the LGBTQ universe and is one of those who rejects she and her pronouns for herself. She's a devotee of woke newspeak, declaring that you should call her they and not she, as if her self-importance looms more than one. The other nominated person for president is Raymond Pun, the former president of the Chinese American Library Association. He's a devotee of critical race theory. Here's an excerpt from one of his online lectures.
We're going to look at critical race theory, and what does this have to do with digital access, digital broadband issues, and why does it matter? So critical race theory, for those who are not familiar, started in legal scholarship. And it's an idea that race is a socially constructed category that is connected to the experiences of the users, particularly people of color.
In ALA, and as past president and current executive director of APALA, the Asian Pacific American Librarians Association, I have worked to support library workers in libraries of all types, and to listen, understand, and build bridges in the profession and our communities towards unity and justice. Leading together for change, we can face these challenges head on and come out stronger together. I bring my whole self as a mixed race Native Hawaiian, as a children's librarian, and now middle manager. I will lead together with our members for an association and profession that is anti-racist and practices racial equity and inclusion in all decision-making. As a leader in ALA's commitment to diversity in many roles, including chair of the Office for Diversity, Literacy, and Outreach Services ODLS Advisory Committee, and as a leader in APALA and the 2018 Joint Conference of Librarians of Color Steering Committee.
We do have another question here that's about equity, diversity, inclusion, and that's asking if you can talk more about your work and ALA's current work advancing EDI initiatives.
Absolutely. One of the things that I really want to give Sing high praise for is our executive director at ALA, Tracy Hall. She has really done a fantastic job of inventorying all of the EDI framed activities within the association. But really what she's been able to do is really advance it and identify inclusion as an imperative.
It is such an honor and pleasure for me to present the Literarian Award to the 10th Executive Director of the American Library Association, Tracy D. Hall.
Happy National Library Week. We are living in a time of change, but libraries, school libraries, public libraries, academic libraries on university and community college campuses have been here for us.
One of the key things that happened recently in January 2022, ALA Council approved the adoption of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, the DEI scorecard for library and information organizations. It was created by the Committee on Diversity, which is under the umbrella of the Office for Diversity, Literacy, and Outreach Services. And it's got 5 suggested scorecard measures, which are critical for organizations if they're doing evaluation in the work to create that sustainability. The first is, are they embedded in, is EDI embedded in the culture and climate of the organization?
Hi everyone, it's Julius. Did you hear the news? Barack Obama is closing ALA Annual. And not just that, He's talking to Lonnie Bunch, the 14th Secretary of the Smithsonian. This is historic, and I am humbled as your ALA president to be included among these legendary Black leaders. Join me when I join them at ALA Annual. If you haven't yet, please register today. With so many incredible diverse voices from Amanda Gorman to Isabel Wilkerson and Nicole Hannah-Jones to Gabrielle Union, this annual is one for the history books.
Well, President Obama, it's a great treat to be with you. I must admit, as a scholar, I've read a lot of presidential memoirs, and yours is the first one I read every page. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Wanda K. Brown. I have the pleasure of serving as the president of the American Library Association.
Happy National Library Workers' Day. I am Loida Garcia Fibo, president of the American Library Association. I am extremely grateful to our nation's library professionals for their passion, their dedication, and most importantly, for sharing their expertise with those in need.
Courtney Young, another Black woman, was the president of the ALA in 2014-15. With the weight of the entire ALA, she took that opportunity to lobby our first Black president, Barack Obama, with a letter asking him to consider diversity when appointing the new Library of Congress chief. Abandoning the tradition of U.S. presidents appointing scholars to the position, he appointed a rank-and-file librarian, Carla Hayden, who had a track record as a leftist activist. Even the left-wing Nation magazine referred to her as a radical librarian. Surprise, surprise, Hayden was the American Library Association president in 2003.
How did you get on the president's radar screen? How did they know about you?
Actually, I was a part of a group of people that the administration was contacting to consult about the opportunities at the Library of Congress.
So you were giving advice.
I was giving quite a bit of advice.
Yes.
Did you say Carla Hayden would be perfect?
No.
Here's what Trevor Phillips, a prominent civil rights activist in Great Britain, has written about what the game of diversity has become. Quote, as a Black man and former chairman of the Equality and Human Rights Commission, you might think I would be surprised to face a charge of racism, but I was not. 40 years ago, identity politics was about trying to end discrimination. It led to revolutionary legislation on gender, disability, and race, but recently the recognition of diversity has grown into a cancerous cultural tyranny that blocks open debate. Unquote.
I just absolutely don't buy this nonsensical, supposedly critical race theory idea that all people of a particular color are intrinsically evil. You can never get rid of racism, or its effects rather. You can never do anything unless, I don't know, you get rid of everybody who you don't like.
And so finally, I want people to know this is a religion, because my point in the book is that you can't change these people's minds. There's no constructive discussion to be had. Many people write me and ask, how can I stop these people from jumping to the conclusion that I'm a racist if I express disagreement with them? And I say, you can't. They are going to call you a racist on social media, often on very minor provocation. Our job is to learn to deal with being called racist on social media and learn that that's just going to have to be part of being a 21st century person who has certain ideas and commitments. Because the simple fact is they are impervious to rationality on issues of race, not on other things, but on issues of race, because this is a religion. You are asking them to give up the idea that Jesus loves them. How many people can you talk out of that?